Podcast Circle. So this is a new group that I'm starting. Who am I? My name is Alex Hitt. I am a social media influencer and consultant. I have over 45,000 followers on social media. I've generated over 10 million views. I've coached over 200 businesses on how to succeed on social media. I'm the founder of a popular networking event called Creator Networking, and I do a lot of speaking, educating, and influencing within the business space. My background and experience was I was actually a hotel manager. This was a hotel that I worked at in Hawaii, but because of COVID, I was laid off. And I thought I was going to go back to hotels. So in the meantime, I drove food delivery. I flipped furniture on Facebook. At one point, I even flipped old bags of concrete. You'll see those bags of concrete right there. But eventually, I became a real estate agent and I sold $3 million homes in Hawaii. And I did that in the middle of a pandemic during lockdown through social media. And I did that with no money, no paid ads. I did business with complete strangers. And like I said, I did it all through social media. And so I started coaching businesses on my strategies. I was telling them what I was doing on social media, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. Could you teach me more? So I developed a lot of different types of educational events. And at those events, I sold a monthly membership to my coaching community where I had everyday coaching. So I actually did everyday social media coaching for a year and a half. And like I said, I helped over 200 businesses. I did over 1,000 hours of social media training. So I have a lot of experience, not only training on social media, but understanding how to grow on social media, especially from zero. I helped hundreds of businesses go from 0 to 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000. So some of the success stories are Breck Rice, who has now over 100,000 followers on TikTok. He has one video with almost 3 million views and multiple videos with upwards to 1 million views. Another success story that I had was Sally here. Sally, no experience on TikTok at all, had never used the platform. Within her first 2 weeks, she sold $18,000 of product through the platform. And within 3 months, she sold over $100,000 in product through social media with no experience. She had never had success on social media before until she had worked with me. And a lot of other people had really amazing experiences and learned a lot and grew on social media a ton. So this is all to say, hey, I have a ton of experience growing on social media. I know how this works. I have a firsthand account and experience helping hundreds of business owners do exactly what I'm trying to help everyone here to do today. And I've grown my own social media followings pretty large: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. But through all of my social media coaching, I always wanted to make the process easier, faster, and more profitable for businesses, while also keeping them accountable and committed. Because even though I coached over 200 business owners and we've had some really amazing success stories, to be honest, the majority of them stopped posting on social media. Not because it wasn't working, but because it wasn't easy enough. It wasn't fast enough. It wasn't profitable enough. They weren't held accountable, and there was no way to keep people committed. So I've really been racking my brain on how do we do that for business owners. This is what I came up with. It's called Podcast Circle. And the point of this is to accelerate the process of content monetization for entrepreneurs and new creators. So that's my goal, is to accelerate the process of monetization for new creators and entrepreneurs online. The reason that I chose podcasting as opposed to short form content or traditional YouTube videos or whatever other type of content creation is out there is because it accomplishes a lot within 1 hour. So the reason I chose podcasting is because it accomplishes a lot within one single recording or 1 hour. So you create long form content out of the podcast, but out of that long form content, you can create short form content. Podcasting is collaborative. So you can actually bring in other people and change the style of content through collaboration. Podcasting requires little technical skill. You don't need to be a video editor. You don't need to be somebody who's really great at graphics or understanding presentations. All you have to do is talk. That's it. Talk into a microphone. Okay. You don't have to do editing. You can, but it's not really necessary. Another reason is YouTube podcasting. YouTube just came out with a new podcasting feature. This is huge because even before they came out with this feature, YouTube was the largest podcast listening platform out there. It's bigger than Spotify. It's bigger than Apple Podcasts. It's bigger than all of them. Now with YouTube podcasting, it makes podcasting on YouTube so much more effective. And then the last thing, it not only creates audio, but it also creates video. I'm recommending we all do video podcasts. And out of that, we can create an audio only in MP3 and a video in MP4. So like I said, podcasting accomplishes a lot of things without having to create a lot of different forms of content. We can create one form of content and get a lot of different things done. What is it? What is Podcast Circle? Well, it's an organic social media strategy. It is community-based. And for this example, it requires 6 people or more to accomplish. And I call the strategies that we're going to talk about here community strategies for social media growth. That's what Podcast Circle is. It's community strategies for social media and podcast growth. So let me tell you how it works here. So my ideal is that we have 2 groups of 6, and each one of these groups is hovered around a specific niche. So maybe this niche over here is entrepreneurship, and maybe this niche over here is sustainability. Okay, this is just an example. We're going to use we'll use the entrepreneur niche as our first example here. Okay. So on week 1, we have podcaster number 1 and podcaster number 2 do a podcast together. Okay. Podcaster number 1 is the host and podcast number 2 is the guest. Next week, week 2, podcast number 2 is the host. Podcaster number 1 is the guest. Okay. So after 2 weeks, we'll have one podcast here where this person is interviewing this person. And after week 2, we'll have a podcast where this person is interviewing this person. Now, when we do this over, like I said, our entire group of people, we have week 1, week 2, week 3, and you can see as it could continue, right? So after 6 weeks, we've had everybody be a host and be a guest on everybody's podcast. So it's a way of automating that kind of podcast scheduling and that guest scheduling with 6 weeks of content just by having 6 people working together all around a specific niche. The niche specificity is really important. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. So let's talk about some of these community strategies for social media growth. The first one is group keyword targeting. This might be the most effective strategy that we talk about today, but it's really, really important. So we talked about all of us working together to create podcasts within a specific niche. How do we do that? Well, we all want to target a niche, but we actually don't want to target the niche itself. We want to target specific keywords in that niche. And here's some possible niches and possible topics, right? Entrepreneurship, LinkedIn, marketing, creator economy, podcasting, saving money, productivity, AI. All these are possible niches, but they're not necessarily the keywords that we would be targeting. So let me show you the actual keywords that we would be targeting. So our niche here is making money online. That is our niche, okay? The different categories, or you could say sub-niches, are things like tech tutorials and how-tos, social media marketing, master classes and panels, and entrepreneur stories. But in those, you could say niche subcategories, there are actual keywords, okay? And those keywords would be things like YouTube tutorials, Go High-Level tutorials, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. That's the keyword. That's what people are searching for. Facebook update. Keywords can be people's names, Alex Hitt. People look up Alex Hitt, making sales online, your guest info, or how I made. So you guys understand that idea of keywords on YouTube? No one's looking up money, but they are looking up how to make money. So the keyword is how to make money online, or how to make money. So now what we're doing is we're using that group as a mastermind group. So each week, so week 1, we all target a different keyword. And then what we do is we see which keyword performs the best. Maybe it's LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Well, the next week, week 2, we share that in our mastermind community, and we have 2 other podcasts talk about LinkedIn Sales Navigator too. So they get that boost because we've seen, okay, that's the most searched topic. They get that boost, and then they can use the end screens on YouTube, promote that first video on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So on YouTube, there's things called end screens, and that allows you to direct that audience to another video after your video is done. And that could be that first video using the end screens. And then we always test a new topic too. Every single week, we're testing topics. We're seeing what's working. We're sharing that with the group. We're improving and we're getting better. So that's strategy 1, group keyword targeting. Let's move on. Let's talk about maximizing monetization. My goal is to not have a podcast that just gets views. I want a podcast that makes money. I'm doing this for my business. Okay. So if you're not here to start a business related podcast, that's fine. If you don't want to make any money from your podcast, that's fine. But personally, I work with a lot of business owners. They want to see an ROI from their podcast. They're putting so much money in, they'd like to get some money out, or more money and time than they put in, right? So let's talk about maximizing monetization of our podcast. So these are the best ways that I think people should monetize their podcast above their main offer. Everybody should have a main offer. These are supplemental to your main offer. So I have a high ticket offer. I have a $10,000 offer. I have a $5,000 offer. Is everybody going to buy that through listening to my podcast? No, they probably won't. But we can promote some other things. We can monetize in other ways. Let's talk about the first one, courses. I like courses because it's 100% passive income. You create the course once, you can sell it for the rest of your life. You can do a high commission on it. If you create an affiliate program on your course, somebody else promotes your course, you can give them a high commission on it because it doesn't require any additional service, or you don't have to do anything. It's automated. It's infinitely scalable. You can sell a jillion of them. And by creating a really high quality, great course, it sets you up as an industry expert in your field. So courses are great for those reasons. Ad spend. So on YouTube, there is something called ad spend or ad revenue share. You see this on YouTube. You watch a YouTube video and they hit you with an ad. The creator of that video, if they are monetized on YouTube, meaning they have over 500 subscribers and 3,000 hours of watch time, they can receive a portion of that ad spend or that revenue that YouTube made from the ad. This is great. People make a lot of money doing this. It's 100% passive. It's automatic. Once you're monetized on YouTube, you don't have to sell anything. You don't have to convince anybody of anything because it's automatic, but the payout will vary. Monetization rates will be different for each person, and it's not really something you can bank on or predict month after month. It's still very good, but not something you should rely 100% of your income on. Sponsorships. So sponsorships can be great. They do usually require either a very niche specific podcast or a very large podcast. Conversion rates on sponsorships can be very low. They can be highly profitable. You can make a lot of money in one go with a sponsorship, but they can be difficult to find and maintain because that conversion rate can be very detached or very hard to measure. So like I said, you need a large podcast or something very specific. It's kind of hard to find them, difficult to maintain, but it can be highly profitable. Communities, I really like community groups because it creates repeatable business month after month, helps you develop your super fans, but it's not really passive. Managing a community can require a little bit of work or a lot of work, but I really like communities, like I said, because the residual income, the repeat business, and creating that community of fans. Lastly is the affiliate. So since we're all creating content within a specific niche, affiliate offers could actually be very successful in this type of group. And I'm going to explain what an affiliate offer is and how we're going to do affiliate offers, but it's essentially somebody else promoting your product and then they earn a commission by promoting your product. So this will expand how many people see your offer, the reach of your offer. It will create semi-passive forms of income because other people are selling your product for you. It's a great way to gain credibility. If I promote your product and people know me and trust me, you share my authority by co-opting my authority and vice versa. So people trust me. I have an audience that trusts me. Well, if I promote Amy, well, they're like, well, Amy must be a great person too because Alex is promoting her. Well, vice versa. Amy says Alex is a great guy, buy his product. They're going to trust Amy and buy my product, right? It's a great way to build strategic partnerships too. So affiliate offers are really, really important. If you want to be a part of the affiliate community that I'm building in Podcast Circle, you have to have an affiliate product to be in it, first of all, which could be a course, a service, or a product. And you need an affiliate dashboard, meaning that your affiliate, if somebody is an affiliate with you, they can go into your system and see what money they're owed, how many leads they have, how many sales they have. If you don't have that software yet, or if you're curious about that software, I can point you to one which you can buy very cheaply, which does all of that for you. But those are just the requirements if you do want to be a part of the affiliate community. You have to have an affiliate product and you have to have an affiliate dashboard. Now, how this works or how the Podcast Circle works is very, very simple. So if you want to be a part of it, it's very simple. We use a Trello board. Each person is assigned a podcast. One is the host. Podcast 2 is the interviewer. You arrange that. You have all your information in there. Once it's complete and the video is posted, you move that over until everyone is done. And then we can move on to week 2. And that's how we'll manage the Podcast Circle. Very, very simple. Let's talk about the affiliate offers, how the affiliate system is going to work within the Podcast Circle community. So here's podcast host 1. We'll say it's me, and I have a podcast that I post on YouTube. I have this guest on my podcast, and they have an affiliate offer. Well, in the description of my YouTube video, I put the guest info, and I put an affiliate link, my affiliate link to the guest product. So if somebody watches my podcast with this guest on it, and they like what they hear, and they want to buy this person's product, they go into the description of my YouTube video, they click on my affiliate link to the guest product. I earn a commission and this person gets a sale. Very, very simple. Okay, next week, same thing. We have Amy here. I'm on the podcast. Amy will put her affiliate link to my product, okay? And then here's what it could look like. Here's what the description can look like. I'm just giving people, how you could promote your guest. So that was our maximizing monetization through our podcast using ad spend, affiliate offers, communities, courses, right? Let's talk about the YouTube remix feature. There's a big problem with podcasting. Nobody listens to your podcast. That's the main problem that 99% of people have with their podcast, is that nobody listens to it. To be in the top 50% of podcasters globally, you only need 32 downloads within the first 7 days. If you want to be in the top 1% of podcasters, you only need 5,000 views in 7 days. Why is that? Why do podcasts get no views? Well, Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast in the entire world. His most popular podcast has 150 million views on YouTube. The most popular short form video, is this video here, and this video has 1.2 billion views compared to the most popular podcast on earth, which has only 150 million views. Why is that? Well, podcasts are long form video. Most people don't listen to 3-hour long podcasts. It's a different audience. It's a different distribution method. People can watch a short form video in a very short period of time, but people cannot listen to your podcasts in a very short period of time. Generally, shorts get a lot more views than any podcast will. So what we want to do is we want to utilize shorts as the promotional method for our podcast. And you've probably seen this all the time on social media, people taking clips from their podcast and posting those as shorts because the shorts have 13 times the reach as the podcast. So we promote our podcast using the shorts, and YouTube has made this super, super easy with something called the remix feature. I'm going to show you how that works here. So we have our long form podcast, and what we do is we turn that into a short, and our shorts direct back to our long form podcast. And you'll see that this is kind of a cycle. You take the long form podcast, you make shorts, the shorts put back to the long form podcast. And you can do this over and over again. Well, what's the fastest way to make YouTube shorts, which can promote our podcast? YouTube has made this super easy with something called the remix feature. So what I do is I actually edit my podcast preemptively for shorts. My podcast is essentially a bunch of YouTube shorts strung together into one long podcast. I'm going to show you how I do that here. If you want to optimize your podcast for YouTube shorts, what I do is I upload the video vertically, even the long form video. I take out all the pauses. I remove any filler words. I edit the video vertically, stacked, and then I put captions in the middle. There's a lot of reasons that I do this, but I always put the guest on top, I put myself on bottom. I put captions in the middle. I take out all the ums and pauses and I upload it vertically. Another reason I do this, if you look at my long form videos here and you click on them, you'll see that my long form video, this video is 18 minutes long, I've even uploaded vertically. Now this is the view on the computer, but when you look at that video on the mobile device, it looks a lot different. So 73% of people listen to podcasts on their smartphone, and upwards to 70% of people watch YouTube videos on a mobile device. So this is how the video looks. Even a long form video looks on a mobile device. Looks kind of like a YouTube short, as opposed to a horizontal video uploaded to YouTube, which looks like this. So when you upload horizontally, even a long form video, it takes up about 3/4 of the screen. But when you upload a video horizontally, it only takes up 1/3 of the screen, unless you turn your phone horizontally, which most people don't do because they're on the phone. So uploading even long form video is better, especially for podcasts. And the majority of people watch YouTube on their phone anyway. So you should be uploading and optimizing for phone video. Now, when you upload that video vertically, that long form video, you'll see there's actually a button down here called the remix button. So if you go to a YouTube video on your phone, you'll see under it has a remix button. When you click on the remix button, it will bring up the ability to take a 15-second clip of that long form video and automatically turn it into a YouTube short. And if you've edited the podcast in the way that I've edited, that I suggest editing it, then it's already optimized for YouTube shorts. And so you can create a YouTube short in literally a minute. It's that fast. You don't have to do any extra editing. So every day I wake up, I can just go right into YouTube, go to any one of my podcasts, take a 15-second clip, post that as a YouTube short, and I can get, 1,000 views, 2,000 views, 1,800 views, 1,900 views on all of these YouTube remixes. And the main advantage of this is when you do that, here's one of those YouTube shorts created from that long form video. It creates a clickable link on that video that if they click it, it goes directly into the long form podcast. So that's really important, is that you not only easily edit that video from the long form podcast, but when you use the remix feature, it creates a button on that remix that directs people back to the long form podcast. So I've tested this strategy out, and you can actually go into the analytics of your podcast and see how many views came from the remix feature. And on this video, about 20% of the total views on the video came through the remixing feature. So it really does work. And here are some results that I've had, 360,000 views through shorts. So those are 3 of the strategies that I wanted to go over today, guys. But I have, 5 other strategies that we just don't have time to go over today that are community strategies for social media and podcast growth. So there's more strategies, but I wanted to share those 3. Those are probably 3 of the most powerful ones here today. What I wanted to talk about now is how do I edit the podcast for YouTube shorts. So this is the entire workflow that we are going to be going through in Podcast Circle. So first we want to schedule that podcast with the guest, and I use Calendly. Okay. I then use something called Riverside FM to record it. Riverside FM is a podcast recording platform that is better than Zoom because when you record on Zoom, the quality of that recording is determined by your internet connection. On Riverside, that's not the case. On Riverside, you record natively on your computer. The guest records natively on their computer, and then it uploads both of those files separately. So the recording never degrades because of the internet connection. That's a big problem that a lot of people have on their podcasts, is that their internet goes down and then the podcast suffers. The next thing I do is I want to improve the audio quality. So I detach the MP3 of that podcast and I improve that audio in something called Adobe Podcasts. If you're not familiar with Adobe Podcast, it's probably the most powerful podcasting tool to ever come out for podcasters. It's incredible, and it improves the audio quality. So if you've ever had a guest that has had bad audio quality, you put it into Adobe Podcasts and it will transform and improve the audio with AI. It's awesome. Okay. I then take that improved audio and I reattach it to the original podcast in CapCut or whatever editing software you're using. I then take that improved audio podcast and I edit it in something called Descript. Descript is just a really nice video editor or podcast editor because you can edit based upon the script of the video, not the audio wave. I edit that. I do all that. I add the captions in Descript as well. I then finally upload that video vertically onto YouTube. So that's my podcast flow. I'm going to be actually talking about this in a 3-hour presentation on September 6th. So if you want to hear my entire podcast workflow, if you want to see it for yourself, I'm going to be doing a 3-hour tutorial on it on September 6th, which you can attend. I'll put that link in the comments here in a little bit. I want to talk about questions and then we'll do a little bit of masterminding, a little bit of networking here.